All right, guys. Hey, just want to give you guys some final thoughts during this finals week. All right. So number one, I've updated the grade calculator so you can find out what you need on the final exam um, to get a 70, 80, or 90 for your final grade. All right. So when you're looking at this right now, um, it's the same as before. I guess I should have changed this right here and call this if you took all 4 exams, right? And if you're missing an exam. So you got to pick the correct tab. So if you're missing one exam, then you would choose this tab right here, which is this calculator here. While if you took all 4 exams, then you should pick this calculator here, okay? So it will give you different numbers because it's based on, how many exams you took. So again, if you took all 4, this is it. If you're missing one, so if you're only taking 3, then this is it right here, okay? So how do you find it? So you're going to go into your Chrome and log in, and let me see here. Where's the grade book? Here's the grade book. Now I'm in student view, so this is what you would see if you clicked on grades in your Canvas, okay? So obviously I got a bunch of things missing here. This is me. I have an exam 2 missing, right? Exam 3 missing. I made up some scores for myself, however, which is nice. And I got exam 4 missing. So I'm missing a score here. So therefore I'm missing one of the exams. All right. So when I come down here, here's my assignments. So what I've done so far is that I have exported or imported the grades from MyLastPlus into Canvas. So all of your homework grades are currently up to date. That involves exam 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so that is there. Anybody that has been using a webcam, you have got your 4% for each of your exams. So those are updated as well. And also, there's only one more homework assignment in MyLastPlus that you need. But again, this is what it is right now. So this is your homework average, here's your lab work average, and here's your exam average. And obviously we don't know what the final exam is going to give me. So I'm going to take these numbers here. So 100%, 51, 43, and 65. So let's go ahead and go back to our calculator. Homework was 100%. Man, I'm good. Lab work was 51.43, and I was missing an exam, so I'm in the right tab here, which I was missing exam 4, and I got 65%. Okay, so here it tells me that the best I can do is to get a C. I can't get a B or an A in the class. All right, I can get a C if I get a 73 on my final exam. Okay, so question is, what would I need to get a 75? So I would need an 87 on my final exam to get a 75%, which is still a C. And the reason why you might want to mess around with this number here is because if I was to get a 72 on my final exam, I might not be able to get my C. Okay, so what are some of the things that you're in control of? You're in control of this homework average. That's big time. That's all in your control. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Well, here's what I'm going to do for you. Number one, I'm going to go ahead and extend all of these homework assignments. So right now, whatever your grade is right now as homework, it's still that. All right, and it counts everything that's past due to be 0%. All right. So in here for your final exam review, you have 2 things here. One is the review for the final. This one with the blue dot has to be done. Everything in the blue dot is an assignment grade. While the practice final exam, you can use it to practice, and this is counting in MyLastPlus as an exam grade, but it really isn't going to count as an exam grade. This is nice. Why? Because it doesn't have the tools to help you, right? This is going to be basically an exam. So you're going to go in and you're going to be like, okay, so I'm taking this without any notes. just with my calculator. I want to see how well I do. Okay, so this is nice, but it's not going to count against or for you. However, the review for the final will count against your homework. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open all of these up right now. Okay, and if you go in and better your grade on these assignments, then your assignment average will also go up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So again, you have two ways of reviewing in MyLabs Plus. The bottom one has to be done, okay, by April 2nd. This one here, I'm going to leave it open. It does have a due date of April 2nd, but by that time, class is already done. So this is a nice to do, but doesn't have to be done. This one has to be done, okay? So that's one way. Second, if you go to your modules, you'll see this page here, and it will tell you that, it will remind you that you have final exam review in MyLabs Plus, and then you can click on here and you'll get something like this. All right, so what is this? This is telling you that, hey, look, I have 40 questions for the final exam, right? Actually, that should close on August 2nd, I believe, if I'm correct. So I apologize for that. But anyways, there is 32 bullet points, 40 questions. And you're gonna wonder how I came up with these bullet points. Well, I read question one, and it mentions something about domain and range of a given graph and if it's a function or not. So there's your bullet point one. So that is your first question. All right, your second question might be this. So, but here's the thing, there is 32 bullet points here, but there are 40 questions. That means 8 of these concepts are going to be repeated within these 40 questions. So it could be 8 concepts that are repeated. It could be 4 concepts repeated twice in there to make up the 40 questions, all right? So think of it that way. So you should understand everything in here. If you do not, then you have issues, okay? Or you're gonna run into issues, all right? So again, make sure that, that you're still getting into Proctorio. I know that the last exam for some of you guys became an issue and it wasn't your fault, okay? So for some of you guys didn't get recorded because Proctorio didn't allow you to get recorded and didn't ask you for a room scan. So I understand that, and I'm not gonna put it against you guys if Proctorio fails you, all right? So I want you to understand. Now notice that bullet point 32 is basically everything in 8.1, okay? Just so you guys know that, and 8.2, okay? That's because you're gonna look at this and go, wait a minute, where's my 8.1 and 8.2? This last point is 8.1 and 8.2, okay? So hopefully that will help you guys, and you're gonna be like, well, how should I study? So this is what I'm gonna say, that the way you should study. I would tell you that you should take a look at your reviews, your lab works, okay? So those two things, and look for problems that might ask you to find domain and range of a given graph, okay? Now, notice that I put here that, hey, look, everything in chapter 3 and 4 is in exam 1. So everything in exam 1, you might want to go, okay, so which lab work that I have for exam 1 and the review for exam 1. So that means everything in chapter 3 and chapter 4. So bullet points 1 through 10 should be all in those two things, right? All the lab works in exam 1 and the review for exam 1. So those few things, I think there was like 3 lab work and 1 review. So there's 4 things to try to figure out all of these things right here. What, and go, hey, what are these questions really about? What do they look like, right? So you can do that. And then, chapter 4 as well. So, and then you can go back and go, okay, so exam 2 was chapter 5. So I'll go through all the lab work that was involved in exam 2 and also review 2 and see, and it involves everything in chapter 5. So bullet point 11 to 17. Right, 11 to 17 is everything in there. So let me see if I can find any of these things in the lab work, the 2 or 3 lab works for exam 2 and also review 2, right? And so on and so forth. So that's the way I would tell you to do it. And then if you want extra questions, then I would tell you to go into the e-text and try to pull out more questions that way. Or you can go into MyLastPlus and you can also go into your different chapters as well. Okay, so I'm going to open these up again so that you can, number one, better your grade on your homework grade, but yet you can also go in to try to figure out, hey, what do they mean by, you know, finding the point slope form when given a point and a slope, right? So that you can kind of try to get ready for it. Now, you guys are welcome to have a stack of questions and come to me and say, hey, can we Zoom and make an appointment with me? Can we Zoom on Thursday at 2 p.m.? All right, I want to let you know if I'm free or not. If I'm not, then I'm going to tell you. If I am, I'm going to schedule you, okay? Now, if you're going to come in and say, can you do a question like solve the system of equations? And I'm going to tell you no, okay? If you have a question, right, an actual problem to say, hey, I was having issues with this problem. Could you help me with this? And I don't care if it's from the review or the lab work or from the e-text. I want you to bring me some question, or even from MyLastPlus, I want you to bring me some questions for me to answer and for me to explain. I don't want you to say, can you go over a problem that's involving adding and subtracting polynomials? I'm not going to answer that. I'm going to be like, sorry, right? So if you bring me problems, I will answer them, and just let me know when you want to meet, and I'll definitely go ahead and meet with you. So again, grade calculator, right? Grade calculator. You can get those grades in your Canvas, okay? And this assignment grade could change based on that very last assignment, review for the final exam. That is going to be due. There's 70 questions. It will be due. If it's a 0, it will count as a 0, and it will affect your homework grade, okay? So that's number one. So grade calculator, that's where you get your grades from, and then you know what you need in the final, all right? How to review. You got a sheet right here with a bunch of bullet points here that you can go through and say, okay, which chapter is it from? Which exam is it from? All right, and based on that, let me do this for you really quick. Leave the student view, go back here, and now you can go to the modules and say, okay, I want to look at everything in exam 1, and exam 1 is right here. So you see that in exam 1, you have a lab work here, a lab work here. So only 2 lab works and the review. So that's what you have. You got 3 things to look at to deal with everything in chapter 3 and 4. All right. You can also come in here and go, okay, which of the assignments in chapter 3 and 4 did I not finish and get 100%? So I'm going to go in and actually better those grades as well. All right. So that would be a way of doing it. You can always go, okay, let me look at, oops, I skipped out of there. So that's one way of doing it. But again, I'm going to open these assignments so that you can better your grade. So your grade is in your control. All right. I've opened it up a few times already, and it looks like that some of you guys didn't take advantage of it. If you don't take advantage of it, I can't do anything. All right, because I know that some of you guys are gonna be like, oh, can I do something to like get a couple of points? Sorry, your homework is where it's at. If you didn't put in the work all semester, it's not a, it's not a Band-Aid. I'm not gonna give you a Band-Aid to just get you to pass and stuff like that. You got to understand that I have to look at you guys as, are you guys good enough of a student to continue on to college algebra? Or am I setting you up for failure and you're going to fail college algebra 3 times, okay? So if you're not passing this class, then you shouldn't pass this class, all right? So, so chances of, bonus points and stuff like that, well, you had the choice of getting bonus points since the beginning of semester, which was to use your webcam. And what I noticed is that the students that had most of the students who had webcams seem to have not needed the 4 extra points anyways, or 4 extra percentages anyway. So I just want to bring that up to you. And if you have any questions, let me know. All right, see ya.